In more Mississippi news, did you guys know that these 6 white officers beat 2 black men in the state of Mississippi all because they were living with a white woman? Yes, you are correct. All because they live with a white woman. These 6 officers showed up at a house in Mississippi to beat, torture, assault, and shot one of the men in the mouth, all because they live with a white woman. Then, y'all, they tried to cover it up. They tried to plant drugs on these men so they wouldn't talk. Well, that didn't work. Once one of these officers shot one of the men in the mouth and they had to be transported to the hospital, all of it came out. Let's listen to this story together.
And despicable. Those words from a federal judge in Mississippi describing the actions of former cops Hunter Elwood, sentenced to 20 years, and Jeffrey Middleton, sentenced to more than 17 years. They, along with 4 others, some of whom refer to themselves as the Goon Squad, pleaded guilty to breaking into this home early last year without a warrant, then terrorizing and torturing 2 black men, all apparently because they stayed at this house with a white woman.
The 6 white police officers involved in this assault sought to dehumanize their victims.
During the ordeal, both were handcuffed as deputies poured milk, alcohol, and syrup on their faces, calling them racial slurs. At one point, Michael Jenkins was shot in the mouth.
Look at me, I'm looking at him. You sat there for a minute. You pull the trigger.
You can see the bullet, coming out of the gun. I mean, the fire coming out, and it was horrific.
The federal charges were brought by the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division.
Hard to imagine a more atrocious set of civil rights violations than those carried out by these guys.
An investigation by the Associated Press revealed that since 2019, some of these deputies had been involved in at least 4 violent assaults on black men. They resulted in 2 deaths and another suffering lasting injuries.
They're not just depriving victims of their civil rights, they're degrading the public's trust in our criminal justice system.
Now, there are still 4 additional deputies to be sentenced later this week. And during today's hearing in the federal courthouse you see behind me, there was a moment when one of the officers who is being charged stood to address the court and said he accepts responsibility. He then apologized, John, to the 2 victims who are in the courtroom. Only one of them, Eddie Parker, then turned to him and said, "I forgive you." It was a remarkable moment.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Errol, what else should we be keeping an eye on for the rest of this week?
Well, according to the team prosecuting this case and defending the 2 victims, it isn't just about the so-called Goon Squad, this team of 6 police officers and detectives who are part of this one racist torture incident. What they're saying now is that Brian Bailey, who is the sheriff of the county department that these officers worked with, that he should resign. The victims, in fact, have a $400 million civil lawsuit they are filing against him and that department. Basically, what they're saying is none of the so-called Goon Squad who are being sentenced this week could have gotten away with what they did if it weren't for the sheriff. And I asked one of the lawyers, what do you say to people of color in this part of Mississippi who don't know if they're safe? And what the lawyer said is because of this week's sentencing, they should feel safer. But there is a long way to go in truly bringing.
This was very traumatizing to watch. Tell me your thoughts below and share this and send it to a friend.